It's Monday, 8 p.m. It's the Monday assessment.
Your people gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the hard times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final Monday assessment of the 24-25 season in partnership with the Gillingham FC Supporters Club and sponsored by Snodhurst Used Cars Sales and Service Station. We will also next season be sponsored by Wicked Creative, as you can see on the screen, and we will also be in partnership with Her Game 2. On a day when Glenn Morris and Robin McKenzie signed new deals with the club, I'm absolutely delighted this evening to be joined by the founding members of TVFTM. I'm joined this evening by Stuart Lewis, Sarah Potter, and Warren. How are we, guys? All right?
Good, thank you.
Oh, good.
Evening.
Well, it's quite nice like this, isn't it? All right, so we'll quickly move on to the news straight away then, I guess, and I'll hand over to Warren.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Quite a lot to get through today, which ain't surprising, bearing in mind there's been quite a fair bit of news. I'd just like to go to the first one, which is Dacky's words, and I met up with Bradley on Stoke Station, and I asked him straight out whether he was staying or whether he was going, and he said he was definitely staying. So, Stuart, what do you think of the news?
Well, I only found out 5 minutes ago when you told me, so it's still sinking in.
That's what I went to first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, I must say, because I sort of thought that maybe he'd upped his game because obviously the contract was coming up. He's obviously got something to offer, but can he do it consistently over the full season? I'm a player of, but we are in League Two. It's a tricky. It must have been a close one, whether he stayed on or not. And obviously, we're taking your word for it. So, if he moves on next season to better things, on the pitch, then great. But I'm not totally convinced. I've got to be honest.
Don't forget, Stuart. The last two players that told me they were staying, right at the end of the season, both went.
Yeah.
So
your track record.
I haven't got a good track record, and it could be free. So, Sarah, what do you think of Bradley Stone? What's your views?
I'm surprised, to be honest. I mean, I thought it was just going to be here just for the one season and, be a bit of a PR stunt and off he travels. But, if he stays fit and gets his fitness back, I think, if we get what we've seen in the last few games, then it's good. It's a good thing.
And Chris?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. I don't think that you can play two good games and then all of a sudden you deserve another year's contract. I'm going to be cynical on that one and just be a little bit like, he scored a goal, at the back post, and then he's had a couple of games where he's been okay. But if you put that into context of the whole season where we've not really seen much of him, not for me.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view is if he decides during the summer, instead of playing in bars full of little plastic balls, and decides to go out and get fit, really fit, then yeah, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. I mean, he's going to sell a lot of shirts with Dack on the back. He is an icon, and I still think he's got that intelligence, which sometimes I think some of our players lack. But my concern is that we're going to go back to playing this stupid number 10 role, which I can't stand, which means he'll either play off the striker or we'll play two up front and we'll have one in behind and leave ourselves short in other areas. So what would be your biggest negative, Stuart, of Bradley staying?
I think that his fitness concerns me. I agree with what you say about his intelligence and his brain, but can the legs do what the brain's telling them to do? That's the question, really, for me. And bear in mind that, you know, we finished the league, you know, was it 17th in the table? Now, I know we've got the 2-year plan, but putting that to one side, Gareth is obviously going to be targeting a top 7 finish. To go from 17th to 7th, you're going to need an overhaul of that squad. And for me, I can't see him really being a big cog in that wheel, really.
Yeah.
Sarah, what made you feel that Dack shouldn't sign?
It's not that I'm saying shouldn't sign. I don't know how much he's on, but potentially he's on big money because he is Bradley Dack. Would that money be better off spent somewhere else on a different player?
I agree with that, Sarah, wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think pace is something that Port Vale had and it's probably gotten through the season. Unfortunately, they signed 2 strikers that last played on Blackpool Beach and couldn't hit a barn door with a shovel. So I agree with the pace thing. Chris, if Bradley was to sign, what sort of formation do you think would suit the team with him in it?
If we can keep him fit, this is the biggest if in the whole conversation for me. If we can keep him fit, and I've said it all along, if we can keep him fit, he's one of the best 2 midfielders in the country, in the league, not in the country. Jesus,
In the country.
Jesus Christ. But no, yeah, in the league, he's probably one of the best 2 midfielders. But I think playing Dacky at a 10 at his age, and I don't mean it disrespectfully to him, he'd be better off dropping deeper slightly. So maybe playing in the middle alongside maybe like Robbie McKenzie, Amani Little or Johnny Williams. But then you've got a plethora of players there straight away without even thinking about anything else. So, yeah, for me, I think he could, with the right coaching, be a utility player in the respect of he could play on the left, could play on the right, could play at attacking midfield or play in central midfield, to be fair. But the biggest problem is the if you can keep him fit and if he's on good money, I don't want someone sitting there playing 10 games a season.
Yeah. I don't think he's on the sort of money that maybe some people think, to be honest.
No, I think it's more of a pay-as-you-play deal. He'll have his basic, and then he'll have extra money for appearances. So I'd like to just move on. I think we've done Bradley to death now. I think the resounding opinion is maybe not. Flick a coin and you'll come up with whether he should stay or not. Yeah. So before the game, something that I personally appreciated as a Gillingham fan who goes home and away is that before the game and before the players went in and whatever, they all walked over to the Gillingham fans and just applauded the Gillingham fans. Now, for me, this is the sort of thing that creates a connection between fans and fans and players, which, to be honest, we've all been moaning about throughout the season at certain times that disconnection has been there. Chris, what did you think of both before and after?
So we've had quite a lot of, I would say, disharmony and disconnect this season, especially between fans and players and staff. I think the season's been a bit of a sandwich, isn't it? It started off really good, then it got really rough in the middle, and then it's ended quite well. I think that is the connect that I think Gareth is trying to make, like, rebuild. It started under John Coleman in a sense. He kind of got the players to go and applaud the fans again, and this, that, and the other, rather than arguing with them. I do think that a certain person that could have been a massive instigator in the disconnect is now no longer at the club. I won't mention any names, but he plays at centre back and he's made over 400 appearances. And I just feel that there has been a massive, massive disconnect. So Gareth to try and fix that, as well as trying to fix an underperforming team, for me is absolutely brilliant.
Sarah, I know you've been to the majority of away games, if not all of them, this
All
season.
of them. All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on that. It
Proper
takes
fan.
takes some effort to go and do every game, home and away. So, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
What did you think of the? How did the players coming over and all the staff coming over you before the game make you feel?
I thought it was a classy decision, to be honest, and it was a good move. You know, it was a case of, we go to every match because we're staff and obviously players. We have to be there. You know, you're choosing to be there. You've worked hard all week to earn your money, and you're choosing to spend that money to follow Gillingham and come away to watch us play, and to come across and say thank you for your support, I thought was tremendous. I really did. I thought it meant a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I'll move on to Stuart. During the old days, and you know all about them more than me, none of that sort of thing really happens. Although we got a clap, you might have got a clap at the end of the season, but not to that extent. What was your feelings on the show of appreciation from the football club?
Well, I wasn't there on Saturday, as you know.
Oh, not a proper fan.
No, I'm hashtag not a proper fan for that one.
Oh my God.
But I did go to Carlisle. Is that all right? I think the difference is in the old days, Warren, we were better. So we they didn't need to apologise so much, did they?
No,
that's the first thing. No, what I would say, Chris was talking about the connection. I think it was totally lost. And I think the turning point for the season for me was definitely Robbie's goal at Walsall. I think that changed everything really with the connection. And since then, it's been a lot better. I hate to mention any managerial names, but certainly up until Bromley, that's kind of where it all went horribly wrong. Can't remember who the manager was then. Someone has to remind me. But then when we got to Walsall, that's when things started to change, and it's obviously a lot better now.
Yeah, cheers. I appreciate your words. So we go on to the next one, Haggis in Hawaii, right? Now, this is my own bit of tribute to Saturday, but it's my own tribute to Paul and Steve, who come down from Scotland to a lot of home games, a lot of away games. They may be sad because I see Paul's been visiting castles all week. And I know that Steve likes a bit of ballet before his football or after his football and whatever. But they are Edinburgh City fans, and Edinburgh are playing tonight, and I'm hoping that when they watch the rerun, when the game's over, I hope that Edinburgh's won and they can get through to the final of the playoffs. So what I'd like to ask you guys is, did you think the Hawaii theme worked? And I'll go to you, Stu. I know you weren't there, but what's your feelings on it?
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. I can't see a problem with it. There's been a few over the years. I remember last game at Barnet where fans were wearing replica shirts from all different clubs. And what was really funny is someone turned up in a Maidstone shirt, and you can imagine, people were going. I don't know whether you remember that one, but people were going ballistic. This poor bloke, it was an absolute nightmare. No, it's a bit of fun. I haven't got an issue with it really. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll go to you, Chris, because obviously you joined in, and I want to go to Sarah last because I think it was her idea, or she mooted the idea along social media, and quite a few people joined in. Your Hawaii shirt day, how did it go for you?
Yeah, it was all right, mate. Absolutely fine. No Vale gate at all. No, nothing like that. It was absolutely fine. You know, like no one got hurt. No one.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that yet, Chris. I want to go.
Oh, right. No, it's no, mate. At the end of the day, it was a lovely day out in the hole, and I just really enjoyed it. And it's a bit of fun, as Stu said. It's just a bit of fun to, see the season out. Considering we've had such a terrible season, to just have a little bit of a laugh at the end, just to try and lift spirits a little bit. I just thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, excellent. As I say, anything like this is a good idea. So we'll go over to Sarah, who mooted the idea along social media and plugged it day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute on social media for at least 6 months.
Try living with me, my poor husband, surrounded by lays for a week.
Oh my God, he must have done his nut. So Sarah, what made you think of the Hawaii thing?
I didn't, to be fair. It was Kebab. It was Harrison Kinslow that suggested it, and the boys were sort of talking about it. Shall we? Shan't we? And I said, look, you're gonna have to make your minds up soon. And it was like, yeah, sorry, let's do it. And I said, well, look, I'm happy to plug it and everything, and just put it out there. And everyone sort of, more than I thought they would, to be fair, kind of jumped on it and joined in. And even people that didn't have like the full Hawaiian shirt were coming up to me and saying, oh, can I have a lei? Because obviously I'd announced, come and see me for a lei. Everyone's well. I took about 70 odd with me. A couple of police officers had them, stewards had them. Everyone sort of joined in, even from a little bit like that. And I thought it was great. It was nice and colourful, and it was a bit of fun. People went to charity shops to buy their shirts. It didn't have to be expensive. It was just a bit of end of season fun.
Yeah, I agree. And you would never have seen me dead in a Hawaiian shirt or a lei, as you well know.
No, I know.
I want to know whatever happened to 10 wear boots, jeans around, just come to the top of the boots, Ben Sherman shirt, and a Crombie jacket or Harrington flight jacket. But that's me living back in the old days.
Is that your theme? Is that your theme for the end of next season, Warren?
I don't do themes. Unfortunately, I can't become like Eddie Alcorn, who is now the chief Mexican waiver for England Supporters Club, with his love of Hawaiian shirts and leis and lays.
What I will say about Eddie was I got his shirt because everyone said to me, you'll never get Eddie Alcorn in a Hawaiian shirt. Like, you leave it with me. I will get Eddie Alcorn in a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, I thought he looked absolutely lovely in his Hawaiian shirt and his lei. And I say, for someone who professes not to be a happy clapper, he proved me wrong.
He's probably wearing it now, watching the show.
Probably, he's probably like waving it around his head as he's doing the Mexican wave.
Not spilling his left.
Exactly.
But you forgot, like, there's one thing you do forget, that we had a really good table because we had like a whole like layout and everything like that on the train, and it was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah, I saw it. It looked really good. I was asleep in first class while you were slumming it in with the.
I was asleep in first class, have you know?
With our Aldi charcuterie board.
Yeah.
Other supermarkets are available.
Yeah, it was a long day.
I spent my money on away games, so I can only afford Aldi now. No Waitrose for me.
Yeah. But no, it was a good idea. It was a nice little party, and I thought that it went down well. Unfortunately, things didn't end quite right. So I'd like to go on to the next subject, which is Town End Legends. And I'd like to announce that Chris and Sarah are now Town End Legends. Being involved in the troubles on Saturday, whether they wanted to be or not is another thing. But they can now start singing "We Are the Town End, We Are the Town End, We Are Town End Gillingham." Even though with Sarah's impression of Tommy Morrison, the great white hope who took one punch and went down like a sack, and Conor McGregor alias Chris, who decided that cage fighting was going to be his thing for the day. I thought that it was good, but that's just on a fun note. There was a seriousness about it. And I thought that, first of all, in that environment, I thought it was wrong that Port Vale opened up half the terrace to home fans, especially when they had a whole load of seats in the main stand that weren't filled.
Mm.
And the fact that the stewards were unable to keep the segregation at the end of the game was just ridiculous. The fact that there was no police there really stopping it as well. I just thought it was badly organised. So, Sarah, I think you was the one who started the fight. What was your take on it?
Oh, to be honest, just seeing that rush. When I first started going to football, my mum, even though I'm a woman of a certain age now, my mum was still worried about me going to football, and she was very much, "Oh, darling, I don't think you should be going to football with all those hooligans." I was like, "Mum, it's not like the 80s. It's not like that now. It's absolutely fine. Trust me." And to be fair, I've not, up until last Saturday, seen anything like that actually in the stadium. So, witnessing that mob literally coming across the seats, ripping up the tarpaulin and everything, and seeing my son several steps down that I need to get to quickly and not being able to get to him was a little bit scary, to be fair.
Yeah, I can imagine if you've never been involved in anything like that it can be a little bit scary.
Yeah.
So
that said, though, has it put me off going to another football match, home or away? Absolutely not. Of course it hasn't.
Absolutely brilliant. I know you sustained some injuries in the melee. How are you?
I'm all right. I've got a bit of a bruised leg, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I know what you're all worried about. I know you are. The nails. It's fine. They're all still there. All 10 of them. We're okay.
Who's getting them done this week now the season was over?
I can now. I couldn't change them before because they were like on a winning streak or undefeated.
Why can't you take them into next season?
Oh, can you imagine? They were just like tiny tips, aren't they? But,
so, Chris, what happened with you? Now, I know it got quite serious with yourself, and I think Simon Burgess deserves a lot of credit for helping you out. What was your story on the incident that happened after the game at Port Vale?
Well, so it was the genuine. It was like a pantomime stuff where we were all chanting. You've seen the Gills now. F off home. You win the league. You won't say that. All that kind of thing. And it was just the general pantomime stuff, tongue in cheek stuff. Everyone was having a little bit of a. Oh, you're this, that, and the other across the segregation, and then at full time, they rushed at us essentially. I was sat halfway through another stand. I then walked up and saw Sarah's son trying to get involved, so I've literally grabbed his wrist and dragged him out the way. I've then picked Sarah up off the floor. I then walked down to a steward who was nonchalantly just standing there like as if nothing was happening. And I tried to speak to him. As I've done so, this old bloke with long grey hair in a blue blazer.
My granddad.
Oh, so it sounds like Gareth Ainsworth.
Yeah. I definitely went him. He's literally he's thrown a gate at me and then thrown a second gate. The stewards then grabbed me and I've then gone, "What are you doing? I've not done anything wrong." One of our fans then tried to grab me on my shoulder from behind, and I literally just turned around thinking it was one of their fans, realised it wasn't. That was fine. I kicked the gate in anger, and then Simon Burgess come over and dragged me away. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, mate, really.
A bit of handbags, really. Unfortunately, Sarah got injured. So I'll go to Stuart. Obviously, he wasn't there Saturday, as you've alluded to. What's your take on the advent of more incidents like this happening throughout football?
Yeah, it's creepy. As I mentioned, before, it is creeping back in. And I think the problem is you've got a lot of these teenagers watching too much YouTube and seeing what it was like in the good old bad old days, and they're trying to replicate it. And I mean, some of these kids, 12, 13, 14, ridiculous, because what you've got to remember, and I think we saw it in some of the footage that came out after the Swindon game at home, that there are people around of sort of 40s and 50s and that age that are kind of old school, and they do still like to have a row. And the problem you're going to get is some of these young kids are going to get seriously hurt, and that is a worry. Obviously, as I said to you earlier, Warren, I mean, we're not anything like the old days, but I think we need to be mindful that it is creeping back in, and something needs to be done about it, really.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I don't know what the answers are.
I think you can probably put an element of it down to maybe where we are in society. I think historically, if you look back when we've sort of been in hard times and people get cheesed off with life, they look for an outlet, and sometimes that outlet is not very healthy.
Yeah, I agree, mate. As I say, as far as I'm concerned, I go to football, watch the game. I go to football, I have a good drink with friends, right, and fellow Gillingham fans. I have a good drink. I go to football. I let out all my rubbish during the game. I vent. I get out all my anger from what's happened the previous week, and then I can move on to the next week. And that's the way it's always been for me. It's been my outlet to even though it's being suppressed by the goody two shoes of today's society, I still like to vent. It's a tough one. I hope we never see things like that happen again, and I hope that Sarah's okay. I hope Chris has got the name of my granddad who attacked him, and I hope that we can move on from that and go into next season with a brand new slate.
Yeah,
so
at the end of the day, Warren, it is what it is. At the end of it, does happen at football. It's not it's not like I said to you the other day. It's not my first rodeo. It does happen. Unfortunately, it does happen. It doesn't then mean we're then going to sit there and be like, oh, we don't want to go to games again. It's just it is what it is at the end of the day. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. So going from the madness of Port Vale, we go to the summer madness, and it's began in earnest today with the great news that Glenn Morris and Robbie McKenzie have signed new contracts for 1 year for Glenn and 2 years for McKenzie. What are your thoughts on that, Chris? I
think it's brilliant. I think I think I've said it several times that I would keep Glenn. If you're fit enough, you're young enough. I don't necessarily think I'd have him as my number one next season, purely because you're going to get to the point with him. He's at the age now where it won't be a gradual drop off; it will be a instantaneous drop off, and that would just be that. So I do think that we still need to sign a number one. I would still have him as number two, and I'd still have him playing games, but maybe not to the level he has this season. I think there's mitigating circumstances as to why he has. Probably the fact that Jake Turner, for me, no disrespect to Jake, isn't up for it. And I think that Tate Holtham's still quite young. So he's kind of been thrown into that, and he's done an amazing job. He's won player of the season, and he fully deserved it for me, and I voted for him. I just feel that we need someone a little bit younger, possibly, just to get in there and be the number one, but then have Glenn as number two. With Robbie, I think he was close second. For me, he was close second for player of the year. He's done absolutely nothing wrong this season. He's been a leader in the team. When Amani Little's been out and when Max Amer got dropped, he's been made captain. Those two for me, and possibly if we can get Connor Masterson over the line as well, those three that were out of contract would probably be my three to keep. The rest of them, I'm not too sure.
Stuart, I'll come to you. What was your feelings on Glenn first and foremost?
Yeah, pleased that with the 1 year deal. I totally agree with Chris that for me it would be a number 2.
Jesus.
I think we're crying out for a proper number 1. I think we have been for a little while. Obviously, Gareth doesn't fancy Jake, and Tate is still quite young. I really like the look of the Carlisle goalie, the Gabriel Breeze. I think he's a ideal for us. Young. He's been fantastic in a really, really poor side. Now, you put him in a good side with a good, solid defence. He'd be brilliant. That'd be my choice, definitely.
Yeah, Sarah, what's your opinions on Robbie McKenzie first and foremost?
I think it's great. When I spoke to him at the Player of the Year Awards, he said that he wanted to stay. So it's no great surprise. I'm just pleased that they've done it sooner rather than later. Getting, especially as a 2-year deal as well. Get it signed. Don't let him hang on and sort of worry that he's not going to get signed or start looking elsewhere and getting itchy feet. It's like, yes, we want you. We want you. You want to stay. Let's just get it done. You can go off your holidays now, happy days.
The good thing for me is we've never lost with him as captain in the league team.
Is that a fact?
I don't know. I think I made it up, but
It sounded plausible there, Warren.
certainly this season, right, in league games that he's captain is unbeaten as captain. So, well done for him, because I think that it's been important time a year, and with Amani being injured and being out, I think it's been important for the team and for the management staff to have a little bit of succession, and for him to show what he can or can't do, whether he's right for Gareth in the long term and maybe takes over from Amani, I don't know. But for me, I'm pleased that he signed it. It's always good to have a utility player. But I think it's become more than that this year. I think the central midfield position is held down, and it's for someone else to knock him out rather than him to lose it. So,
100%.
With Glenn, as everyone knows, I'm on the flip side. He deserved Player of the Year this year. I still worry about him in certain situations, and I still go back to the Harrogate 5-1 of 2 years ago, where I thought at the end of the season he should have gone last season. But this season he has proved me wrong, and he has done well. As you all alluded to, I don't think he'd been my number 1, but and I'm sure there's plenty of good goalkeepers that will be released at the end of the season. There's also good youth team goalkeepers that are on the periphery of first teams in the Premier League or Championship that could come and do us a job if we're going to get a loan player in, like Cummins, when we had Cummins. Congratulations to the pair of them, and I hope that they're part of a Championship winning squad next season.
Yeah,
at least playoffs.
Yeah. I just want to add that it was last season that we lost 5-1 to Harrogate, and Stephen Clements was the manager in charge then, Stuart.
I would agree with him again, Stu.
Yeah. Chris, were you at that 5-1 game?
No, I wasn't, mate. I was still telling you though.
I was there. It was unbelievable. I mean, we went in. I think we went.
I was there as well.
Yeah, I think, if I remember rightly, and obviously as Warren mentioned, I'm quite old now, so the memory's not quite right. But I think we went in 1-0 up at half time, and
we did.
There was a chance just before half time. I can't remember. It might have been Lapsey or somebody that we might have just missed it. And if we'd have gone, it should have scored. I think if we'd have gone in 2-0 up at half time, that game would have been over. But literally, I mean, they came out and they had 5 shots and they all went in. It was just one of those bit like the Shrewsbury one years ago. Warren, the 7-0. I don't know whether you were there for that one, but they had 7 shots off everyone's backside and gone in. It was never a 7-0. And the Harrogate was like that. They happen. They happen.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject, quickly just have a quick answer from all of you because I want to move on because I'm a bit mindful of the time. Stuart, what are your aspirations for the summer regarding recruitment?
That it's better than it's been lately.
Thank you. Sarah?
Get rid of the dead wood and get some fresh legs in.
Chris?
My favourite subject. I just think that we need to just like get players in that have got the ethos and the actual drive to play for Gillingham Football Club, and maybe come up with a criteria. And I'm sure that that's already being discussed with Gareth Ainsworth. But I definitely think that we need to get like a structure of what we're buying rather than just shooting in a pot.
Yeah, seriously, Warren. I've got to say, first and foremost, obviously we know we need a goalie. We know that, but we must address the situation of scoring goals. This has been going on for years now. I think in the league we've scored one more goal than Morecambe, I believe, in the league. Obviously relegated. I mean that says it all, isn't it? Really. We can't be going into next season thinking that Joe Bode is going to be getting 15 goals and relying on a youngster. And with Andrews, we're not sure fitness wise. We've got issues in that department that have gone along for far too long now. Let's address it properly. Even if we've got to throw some money at it, we need a fox in a box. Someone's going to put the ball in and out on a regular basis.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily throw money at it. I think we need pace in the side more than anything else because pace creates chances. Mm-hmm. We don't create enough because we haven't got enough pace to create.
We've got no service.
I'd like to see an absolute animal signed in either midfield or centre half. Someone who's going to lead by example and not allow the team to get bullied. So if you have a team with a bit more pace in it, they're not tough, hard players. So I'd like to see an enforcer brought in to look after them and obviously a goalkeeper. So, and I think Elliot Nevitt will score 15 goals next season.
There we go.
Can I have some of what you're on?
Yeah, he's a second season player. He's a second season player, and I think you have to learn how Elliot Nevitt plays to get the best out of him. Lobbing the ball up to him in the air as the main target man is not going to get the best out of him, I'm afraid. No. What you need to do, the goals that he did score were little balls round the back for him to run onto. That's what he's good at. So I think next year we'll address that and it'll be 15 goals for Elliot Nevitt.
It does play into the thing, Warren. Sorry to interject, but it does play into the thing with like the service because I don't think the wingers have essentially been that good this season. Jack Nolan, for a start, he's come in and he's not really been that great. Aaron Rowe's been injured for the majority of the season. Jaden Clark, he's our top goal scorer, but has he really actually pulled up any trees? Not really. So you can look at it as we need a striker, but you could also look at it as the fact that we probably need better service from the middle and the wingers.
Right. So cheers for that, guys. I'm going to go on to the last one because I'm mindful of time. 1 year anniversary. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's the 1 year anniversary of the View from the Medway, something that Stuart and Chris started along with Sarah, and I sort of joined in August thanks to Stuart putting in a good word with Chris for me. I must say I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think I'd be able to put myself on camera week after week and spout my rubbish like I do. I'd like to say thank you to Chris for giving me the opportunity where other podcasts didn't want to, which is fine. And I've got no problem with that. But my thank you goes to Chris. I think anyone out there that watches podcasts or wants to slaughter podcasts or whatever, I think people should be mindful of how much work actually goes into creating a podcast every week. And I know that Chris has worked tirelessly throughout the season, trying to get a little bit of sponsorship so we can make the channel better, bringing on Dee and John from Snodhurst and Wicked Creative or Creative Wicked, whatever it is, I forget. Wicked Creative. I appreciate what they do for the show, but I think a round of applause for Chris, because it's not easy. When you put yourself out there, you put yourself out for a lot of stick. He has taken a few pelters this season. Hopefully, he's come out the other side of it and realised that actually, sod 'em, right? If you want to throw pelters. But
he's ready for a few more pelters next season, aren't you, mate?
I enjoy what I do, right? I enjoy the show. Congratulations on the 1 year anniversary, and I'd like to hand over to Chris.
Yeah, so I personally would like to thank Stuart for firstly, because we started this 1 year ago today. We did our first ever Cringe Fest when we did the fan zone, didn't we? And then we did a second one, and then we were kind of just talking about it. I mean, Sarah's been admin of the Facebook group from day one, because me and Sarah have been friends for a while. But me and Stuart we sat there and we were just like, right, you need to get structured. And this was Stuart saying, you need to have a day, you need to get it done, and it needs to be on time all of the time. I think we've kind of achieved that this season. I don't necessarily think we have every week, because maybe 1 or 2 weeks, but we kind of have really. And yeah, Stuart for me was the main one that, to start off with, was the one telling me, well, not telling me, but saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? He came up with our first graphics as well for the intro and everything. Obviously, I've changed them since, because I thought that it needed to be a little bit more thingy. But yeah, no, it's been a ride so far. It's hard work. I would also like to thank Matt Boosie and Reese at German Gills, because they've given me a lot of help to start with as well. We were going to be the Sunday assessment at first, weren't we, Stu? And then we moved to the Monday, just so that it didn't clash with other people, which I think was a good move. But yeah, no, and Sarah, I'm going to hand over to you, because I've got to appreciate yourself, because you are literally you run the Facebook group now. I'm hardly ever there, so so yeah, no, thank you to you. But yeah, with Stu, with regards to yourself, was there anything you would like to add? Really?
Yeah, no. Obviously, I was really happy when you came on to me and we spoke about it. Obviously, at the very start, I had my own ideas how I thought the show should move forward, what I thought was missing, and it's gone from an outsider looking. And obviously, I normally come on probably once a month. I have this season, which I wanted to do. I was really keen that Warren came on, because I always felt that there was an element missing, whereby the older supporters are probably a little bit overlooked with the content that was out there at the time, and that's definitely been proved right. I think Warren was knighted at some stage this season by the fans, so he's very popular. So I'm glad that it's all gone to plan, really. And I think I said to you at the start, it's all about consistency. Keeping the day the same, the time the same, and obviously the people that watch the show will know that. I know we had the bank holiday this time, but the Monday assessments, it's 8 o'clock on a Monday. Everyone will know that, and that is so important. And obviously the rotation of guests as well. It's always nice to see some fresh faces on, fresh ideas. Really good. Yeah,
and Sarah, I'll go to you. And obviously, we started the group, I think before we even did the first content, really. And I'd known you previously from that, so that's growing okay at the moment. I think there's some work we're going to do on it over the summer, but so how have you enjoyed being a part of it, I guess?
Oh, it's great, absolutely. And I know you and Warren sort of say to me, I'll come on it more often, but anybody that knows me, yes, I am a confident person until you put me on something like this now, and I'm like, don't ask me any awkward questions because I'll crumble. Because rightly or wrongly, as a female following football, you assume that guys, you go, oh, she's only a girl, You know, and I'm not saying that's what everyone thinks, but there'll always be a little bit element of that. So there is a bit of nervousness as a female coming on a podcast like this, because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to act like an idiot or come across like an idiot.
Too late.
I was just going to say, Warren, and I can sit here and prove you can do all that, and it's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. But no, I mean, I thank you, Chris, because I know I speak to you on a daily basis, and I know how much work and effort that you put into this, and I don't think people realise how much you put into it, and your heart and soul, sweat and tears and everything else. It really does. I mean, you asked me to sort of take on the day-to-day of the Facebook group for you, and I said, that's not a problem. That in itself is quite hard work, but not as much as this. But also, it wouldn't be possible without the help of all our members. We're over 700 now on Facebook. And obviously, a couple of thousand views on this every week. It's growing week on week, and Chris, you are the view from the Medway.
Yeah,
so
well done well.
Well done.
Where's the tissues, man? Please, don't you make me blush. Yeah, no.
Is that the onions from the meatballs making you cry, mate?
Yeah, it's the chicken nuggets, mate. It's the chicken nuggets. Oh God, how embarrassing. Anyway, thank you guys. It is hard work. It does take a lot, especially when you're doing like the graphics and stuff. It's not just about talking; it's about getting everyone engaged. And we've had 20, including yourselves. We've had over 30 guests on this season across 9 months, which was absolutely brilliant, and we will talk on that a little bit later on as well. I do just want to give a special mention to Matt Olsen, because obviously he came on board. Things didn't work out there, but he was a massive help there for me as well. So I did want to just say that. But I guess we'll move on to the Vale facts then, shall we, guys, before I start crying?
No, I want to see
I
want to see you cry.
Vale were founded in 1876. Vale have played more seasons in Football League without reaching the top flight than any other club. And Burslem is one of 6 towns that make up Stoke-on-Trent. So we go to our lineup quickly, and we had Glenn Morris in goal. We had a back four of Max Clark, Connor Masterson, Sam Gale and Romeo Hutton. We then had a middle three of Dom Corness, Robbie McKenzie and Ewan Williams. We then had a top three of Ashraf Benone, JJ Morgan and Aaron Rowe. So we will keep it on this screen, guys, because the way that the new graphics lay out, it goes something different. So I'll go with you first, Sarah. And were there any surprises for you in that team?
No, I thought it was quite. Obviously, there was no surprise that there was no Johnny Williams and no Joe Bode, given the 2 red cards from the following week. So no, I thought it was a great lineup. To be fair, I thought it was a good choice, very good choice.
Yeah, and Stu, I'll go with you, mate. Any surprises for yourself?
Not really. No surprises there, because obviously Gareth, is a dead rubber for us. He could have put anyone out there. He wants to look at players, which is sensible. And it was obviously the last opportunity to look at anyone. So no surprise for me at all.
Yeah, Warren.
Yeah, I think giving the 3 one last hurrah before they went was a good idea. It looks a bit lightweight, to be honest, when I first saw the team. And I know that Gareth alluded to it himself, that he expected the ball to keep coming back because we didn't have anything up front to really hold it up. And JJ's not that sort of player. Ewan Williams and Corness in midfield, to be honest, I didn't really notice them. And I think if Ewan Williams was playing for a contract, I don't think he did enough. Personally, Corness had quite a quiet game. He didn't do anything that stood out, but the back four of Clark, Masterson, Gale and Hutton, and then when Shag came on near the end, I thought were immense, and Glenn in goal, I thought were absolutely immense throughout the whole game from start to finish, apart from the one chance when I forget what his name is. I know it's Toje. He missed that open goal in the first half. Apart from that, I thought we were blinding at the back, absolutely blinding. And I'm glad that he played Gale in a 4, because I wanted to see what Sam Gale would react like in that 4 at the back. And I thought, you know what, we have got some player there. Because he had nowhere to hide and he had to step up in the 4. And I actually thought he looked like he'd been playing there for years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got to be honest, I wanted to bring that up with you actually, because I know we spoke about it a few weeks ago and you said to me about him playing in the 4. And now that he has, and as you said, I think he can definitely do it. I just think that he needs that big, strong man next to him. I think Masterson was quite good. So we will. There was not really many surprises for me other than maybe Josh Andrews' inclusion on the bench. And he later came on in the game as well. I would probably have. They keep saying about these loan players and saying that why are we playing him, but maybe there's that kind of thing with Gareth Ainsworth, who's thinking, well, maybe there's a chance that we can get a few of these back next season. So maybe he was trying to just give them a go for the game there. So we'll move on to the game itself. Obviously, we've beaten 1-0. So Stu, what was your overview of the game?
Yeah, the first half was a typical sort of end of season type of game. Obviously, is it Tollage? I don't know how you pronounce it. He missed that
Tollage,
sitter, didn't he? Yeah, missed that sitter. I thought, oh dear, that looked poor. But very similar to when we played Port Vale at home. I didn't really go a lot on them. I've got to be honest. I don't think they offered up much for a team that's been promoted. Maybe they were just, a bit shy on the day. I don't know, but they didn't offer up anything for me. Yeah. We won the game, and I think we deserved to win the game on the second half showing, really, in all honesty. Good way to sign off. It keeps the positivity going. So, yeah, I was very pleased with that win, yeah.
Yeah, and Warren, I think, as Stu said, it keeps the positivity going. We're now, 12 unbeaten. And it gives us that pre-season where we know that we can actually play football. The thing that would frustrate me and does frustrate me is the majority of these players weren't doing it under other managers. It's now frustrating that they are now doing it under Ainsworth. So what are your actual thoughts on the game as a whole, for starters, and your thoughts on why they weren't playing for other managers?
So I thought that was a typical away game which gets you promoted. Those sort of performances get you promoted at the end of each season. You're under the cosh in front of a big crowd and you soak up the pressure, you nick a goal, you come home and you say, all right, we didn't have much of the ball. They probably had a couple of good chances, but overall we defended quite well. Job done. Let's go home, take the 3 points with us and say goodbye. Like Stuart, I thought Port Vale were one of the weakest sides that we've played this season. I'm really surprised that they made it into the top 3. If it weren't for Walsall completely blowing it from a really good position, I don't think they'd have made it. I really don't. The fact that those looking at the title in the last day of the season just amazed me. And after Saturday, it amazed me even more. With regards to the other managers, I think since Bonner's gone, I think it's really shown how far out of his depth he was. The fact that he had a lot of time pre-season to get a side sorted for and promoted. The fact that everything tumbled down after the Barrow home game and it just collapsed like a pack of cards. Whether that was the players down in tools or just not wanting to play for him, or he'd lost the dressing room and they didn't buy into his ideas and the way he played that. I think that was the case. Coleman came in. I didn't want to see him go, but I'm glad he has gone. Hearing some of the stuff that went on while he was here, but Coleman did get the team playing and he did provide some structure to the football club, which was obviously missing under Bonner. So I'd like to thank John Coleman for bringing that in, even though the players didn't particularly get on with him. I think he sussed out a few players that
100%.
may or may not be released at the end of this season.
Yeah.
But under Ainsworth, the players look happy. They look a together bunch. They look like they are actually playing for the shirt, which hasn't been the case throughout the season. And for me, I'm optimistic going into next season. It just all depends on our transfer window, who he's got to keep, because I know that there's players there that maybe Gareth would like to move on but can't because they've got another year on their contract or 2 years on their contract in one or two cases. It's going to be difficult, and to get players in, I think we're going to need to get players out because I don't think Gareth wants to run with a 28-man squad with 7 youngsters. I think he'll be looking at either 18 or 20 pros and 5 or 6 youngsters.
I think we've got to keep calm, Warren, at the moment. Obviously, we are on a good run. We've had the 12 unbeaten, and it's looking promising. But I think you've got to be mindful that obviously, I think it's 9 games now under Gareth, with 3 wins and the 6 draws, which is a decent return. But, and I looked at this the other day, if we'd have lost all 9 of those games, we still would have stayed up. That's the first thing to remember. So obviously he's had a bit of a luxury in respect that a lot of these games at the latter part have been dead rubbers, really, which is not the sort of pressure that he's going to be under at the start of next season, where we're going to need to get some wins on the board and we're going to need to keep this momentum running, really. I think that's the important thing, because what we found back in August, we had a good start to the season. And, at the end of August, Mark Bonner got the manager of the month. Everyone was jumping on the bandwagon, and they weren't digging deep enough to the underlying problems of some of those results. And obviously, as you said, it all fell down like a pack of cards. So what we want to be doing is, really, when we get into the new season, hopefully we'll have a good summer, transfers, players out. Like you said, it's a leaner squad that with better quality in it. But we need to probably get into September before we start dishing out the knighthoods with Gareth Ainsworth. That's my fear. I think I saw yesterday, I think it might have been Hayden Parry put a post out saying that Gareth Ainsworth, the Messiah. It's a little bit early for us to be talking like that.
Yeah, a little bit early,
Yeah. No, fair enough. No, that's fine, boys. Thank you very much. And Sarah, what was your overview of the game? The game in isolation for the full 90 minutes, not the before and the after, just the just the 90.
Yeah, a bit like you guys. Yeah, the first half was a bit nothingy, wasn't it? It just goes to show that there isn't a lot between the teams in League Two. Okay, we were at the top in August and we're sort of bottom half, at the end of the season. But in the great scheme of things, we're not that far away from. I actually called the score on Friday. It's the usual, what does everyone think the score is going to be on Saturday? And I said, we always play teams higher up the league a lot better. We all know that. And, I thought, we could pull a cheeky 1-0 on this. And we certainly did, which is fantastic. It felt like the second half that Gareth had perhaps had a chat with him in the dressing room at half time and sort of said, look, just stop this respect kind of dancing around them and just really get into them, which is what they went and did, which was what was needed. So, proof is in the pudding at the end, wasn't it? So it was nice to see Glenn with a clean sheet.
Yep.
Against potential league winners.
Yeah, and I like to hope that his wife cleans his sheets on a weekly basis, but it's nice for Glenn to get a clean sheet there and finish the season, and now a new contract as well. I absolutely love Glenn Morris. I think he's absolutely brilliant. The game itself, it was a bit of a nothing, really, until they had a few chances in the first half, and for me, it was that absolute wonder goal from Aaron Rowe in the second half, which kind of leads me on to the goal itself. And I am going to play it in a minute, but I just want to touch on the whole, we did the goal of the season last week, and for me, that could have been up there at least with being goal of the season because it was just an absolutely amazing shot. So I will play it now. We will then do Phil's faults, and we'll get on to our man of the matches. And Phil's faults this week. Oh, sorry.
There we go. I was worried that was going to be Hawaii 5-0, but we won. Up the Gills!
There we go. So not a very constructive Phil's faults this week. I think he was just lucky to get away, and I do want to thank Phil as well throughout this season. He's been really eventful with his constructive with his Phil's faults. And Don Ballard said to me yesterday, he was like, if Phil turned around to me and said that we're going to be safe, he's got that David Attenborough type voice that makes me feel like we are going to be safe. So yeah. So we're touching on man of the matches then, and I've gone for Connor Masterson. Warren's gone for Connor Masterson. Stu's gone for Aaron Rowe, and Sarah's gone for Glenn Morris. So Sarah, I'll start with you.
Thanks. It was basically, because it was his clean sheet, he did well. He held it together. He could have lost. He's got experience. He's not going to lose his bottle, but he could have easily crumbled going against Port Vale and didn't. So that was why he got my man of the match. There
we go. And Stuart, yourself?
Yeah, I went for Rowe. I think that he was nice and busy. Looked really interested. He's coming on nicely at the moment, and obviously a super goal to cap it off. In all fairness, there were some decent performances out there, but he just edged it for me. Like I say, nice and busy, and I'm confident going into next season. We're gonna see what we thought we were going to see earlier on this season. To be fair.
Yeah, no, sure. I have to agree, and he's had some unfortunate times this season. He's been out quite a chunk of it for injury. He's then come in, then he's been out of the squad again for whatever reason. But now he's getting a consistent run of games. I really do feel that he could be pivotal for us next season. I really
definitely.
do feel like he could, definitely. So Warren, me and you went for Mr. Masterson, and your reasons as to why.
Right, so I've not been Connor's biggest fan this season. I think that up until his injury, did he have any really outstanding games? Probably not. There was a bit of disinterest after the Barrow game, leading into our poor run of form. Then he got injured, then he's come back, and he's had a few okay games, but I thought he was absolutely immense on Saturday. On Saturday. I thought he was strong at the back. He won nearly every header against some big lads. And I just felt that the added responsibility of having Sam alongside him in a back four made him step up to the plate. And to be honest, I'd have released him before Saturday. But after Saturday, I actually think that we should keep him.
Yeah, and to be fair, mate, I'm not dissimilar to yourself. I think for me, he's coming after his injury, and I feel that he's done well. Man of the match performance for me against Bradford, potentially scoring the goal, and he does try hard for us. Like he's got that passion as well. There was a tackle on Saturday. He made the tackle and he stood up and he's straight away like that. Come on, right, and trying to get things done. And I think, as you alluded to, being in the back four rather than the back five is then giving him that added responsibility. So yeah, if we can keep Con, I'd love to keep Connor. It would be absolutely brilliant for me. So we're just going to quickly get to our guests of the season, I guess. So we have had a lot of guests on this season, so I will read their names out. I forgot to do the graphic, so I do apologise. So we've had Gab Sutton, we've had James Hawkins from the ME7 podcast, David Garth, Dave Creasy, who is now the co-host, Joe Crean, Kirian. We've had Managing Director Joe Comper, Owen from the ME7 podcast, James Cleo, Don Ballard, Tom Jasper, Matt Boosie, Mike Cunningham, Luke Teaching, Mike Gammon, Eddie Alcorn, Ian Butler, Paul Fisher, John Primmitt, Sarah Potter. There we go. Warren. I don't know. We can't class ourselves that. So yeah, Stuart Lewis, Danny Dickinson, Doncaster fan. We've had Dave Salmon from Morecambe. We've had Phil Critton, Phil's Faults, Beanhead, so Phil Reynolds, Simon Burgess, Stephen Bennett, Rob Winskin, and Rob Taylor. We've also interviewed Paul Fisher, Guy Butters, Steve Lovell, Vince Bartram, and Mark Halsey. So, as I said before, I would like to say a massive thank you to Stuart, a massive thank you to Warren and Sarah for all of their contributions. But we do have a guest of the season, and we will go from third place to first. So, in third place, it was Mike Gammon. We then had second place, Phil Beanhead. But in first place this season, we have Mr. Paul Fisher, aka Fish, who's won our guest of the season this season. So well done, Fish. I don't know if you're watching, but big well done for Fish. So we're pretty much at the end of the show now. Obviously, I would like to say a massive shout out to Snodhurst Used Cars and Sales Station. Jamie and John have become quite good friends over the last few months, to be quite honest. I really appreciate them inviting me up into hospitality. Really appreciate them and all what they do. We've had quite a few good nights out on the drink, so that's good. I would love to also a big shout out to Dee at Wicked Creative. She's come on board as well for next season and sponsoring us there. Want to quickly touch on the partnerships as well. So the Supporters Club, obviously I'm on the committee of the Supporters Club as well as them being a partner for the channel. And they're doing some great work with everything that they do. Like they work so hard. And I want a special shout out to Linda, really, because she does a hell of a lot of work. Also, Her Game 2 next season, we'll be in partnership with them. So as you can see, all of the websites are strewn across the bottom of the screen. And a big shout out to Paige, who's arranged that with us as well. So, guys, we are at the end of the show. I think it's been a good last one. I'm quite excited that we are going to get a break. There is a period now where we're doing an interview at the club tomorrow for the Last Walk's history. That will be a collaboration between the Supporters Club and the View from the Medway, and David Garth will be conducting the interview and I'll be doing all the editing after. That will be with Brian Dix, and that will also be with Colin Nash. We will then post that, I'm not sure, because of the editing stages. But before we go, any other housekeeping with you guys? And I'll start with you, Stuart.
No.
There you go.
No, I'm just looking forward to a nice solid summer, really. I think that last summer Bonner was given the old gold card, and this summer Ainsworth's got the gold card in the air miles. He's got a little bit more, and because with a lot of these players out of contract, so I want to go into August, really ready to go, rip roaring. Yeah,
and Warren, yourself.
Yeah, we've all applauded each other and we've all given each other a pat on the back. But I would like to say a big thank you to every single one of the people that watch the show on a regular basis. Yeah. Your views mean the world to us. It's why we do it. We like to entertain people. Hopefully we've entertained you throughout the year. Hopefully next year you'll come back and hopefully we'll be able to improve the show as we keep on going. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about my favourite subject every week. And thank you all.
Yeah, I echo exactly what you've said there, Warren. We wouldn't, if it wasn't for the people that watch this, we wouldn't be doing it, essentially. So, thank you everyone for everything you've done, all the views that you've got. We started off when we were averaging 300-400 views on X. Now we're averaging 1,500 to 2,000. We've even been to 4,000 some weeks, which is good. considering it's our first season. So yeah, Sarah, any other lingering comments from yourself, my dear?
So mine's a little plea for the ladies out there to come and join next season. Just drop Chris or I just a little note if you fancy doing it, and just come on. Honestly, it's a good laugh. It really is, and it'd be really good to have some more female voices on, the Monday assessment. It really would.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. So before we go into our end of season video this evening, if you haven't yet, please follow us on X at TVF10 or the View from Medway Fancast, the View from the Medway Fancast on YouTube, and the View from the Medway Facebook group. So if there's nothing else from you guys, I've been Chris, it's been Stu, she's been Sarah, he's been Warren. This is a wrap, essentially. And good night.
should I stay? The game was over, no more time to play. I gazed around and saw no one had gone. The Gills were still singing this song.